I had the privilege of having a conversation with Shetia Weston. She is what I think the definition of what a real woman is. Like, she goes so deep into her story. She went to places in her story that I didn't even expect her to go. She was so real, so authentic, so transparent. You cannot watch this and you can't watch this and not be inspired by it. That's how good it is.
You're watching an MSW production.
So you were a teen mother.
Yeah. I had my son at 16 years old. Actually, I never made it full term. He was a premature child, born at 25 weeks. He stayed in the hospital 2.5 months, went through 3 blood transfusions, and I had a long journey ahead of me.
Really? How old is he now?
14.
Okay.
I don't know how I made it. Like, I never would have thought, the typical, oh my God, you're smart. Oh my God, you're going to be a doctor. You're going to be a lawyer. That I would have ended up in that predicament.
Yeah.
It's life-changing. Having children is life-changing, period. But having a special needs child while still in high school, that created a different version of who I was. I didn't know at the time, but it was preparing me for who I needed to be.
Right.
And who I am today.
Right.
I had to choose between working and taking care of my son. That's a battle that a lot of moms, a lot of parents in general deal with that nobody ever even thinks about. If I work, then I can't take him to the doctor. Yeah. I can't take him to therapy. I can't do anything for him because I'm at work. But if I don't work, I can't put a roof over his head. I can't buy him clothes.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
Oh, a lot, because people think that, oh, your family's going to help you. Oh, you got it. Oh, it's just a baby.
Did they not?
This is normal. My mom, my sister, oh my God, like, I wouldn't have made it without them. I mean, like, they spent a lot of time filling in the holes that I left because I was a kid,
Who created those holes for you?
I created those holes.
Based off what?
My decisions.
Because
I think some of it may have been fate or destined, but a lot of it was just dealing with the decisions that allowed me to get in those particular situations.
Okay, now what caused those decisions to be made? Was it a lack of love? Was it a lack of there was something that
Oh, you want that? I was smart. So I was bored. The schools couldn't teach me. I was pretty much smarter than all the teachers. I was like one of the few gifted students in the county. So everybody dismissed me. It was almost like, oh, yeah, go do that. Don't come to class. Don't answer questions in class, like literally. When the question was posed, let her skip some grades, kind of go ahead and, keep her academically focused. My mom didn't do it. She said it would interfere with my sister's social life because I would be right up under her, basically.
Really?
I understood it. Believe it or not, I know that sounds so crazy, but I understood it. We was in a rural area, and me and my sister's only 2 years apart. So it would have put me right up to her, and then it creates this comparison of why you're not like your sister, why you're not smart as your sister. And me and her had that conversation briefly, in adulthood of the, I guess, the battle that happened between us of trying to satisfy everyone's opinion of how we should be because of one sister being one way and her sister being another way.
So that scarred you?
Oh, absolutely. I remember in primary school, well, elementary school, but back in my county, it was a primary school.
Okay.
And I remember my first grade teacher, I won't say her name, I went to the highest average lunching, and I won a little basket, and she took it from me and gave it to another student and said it was someone else's turn to win.
Wow.
I was 7, 8 years old. Following year in second grade, I got sent out of class, said I can't play math around the world anymore because I kept winning. I didn't realize how bad that scarred me until I got to high school.
So it's almost like
I was punished for being smart. I had no idea, it came natural to me.
so that caused you.
Oh, absolutely. It made me, absolutely, because I started
And what
skipping
were
school.
you looking for when you were making those decisions? Like, were you looking for
Attention.
Okay, to prove them wrong, or because you were angry at them?
No, not at all. I think it was just more so of just being bored and just
Because you couldn't
going
do
another.
nothing.
Yeah,
Everything you did was wrong, basically,
yeah,
in your mind.
yeah. Well, I'm not gonna say everything I did was wrong. It was just like, well, what am I supposed to do?
Right.
If this is what I'm supposed to do and I'm being chastised for it,
I never thought about it like
then
that.
what do I do? So I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. The dealing drugs, the doing
kind of
drugs, marijuana. Just simple
okay.
stuff, nothing
Right.
hard or crazy. Alcohol, things of that
And
nature.
all this was in high school.
Middle school.
How old were
This
you?
was middle school. I think my first drink I was 11.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Your first drink, you were 11?
My first drink I was 11, and that was
Wow.
weird because small town. So it was already rumored that I was having sex, even though I wasn't having sex.
So you were always labeled as a bad girl.
Oh,
trouble.
absolutely. It was like, how are you so smart, but you're so terrible? And I was like, but I didn't do anything, And then it's like,
Wow.
you keep hearing it for so long. You're just like, well, might as well do it. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't even know about sex. You know how I learned about sex?
How?
A magazine. I picked up a magazine and read it. I remember when I got my menses, I'm like, you bleeding? I was like, yeah. I thought I was dying. She said, Gary, you'll be all right. But never prepared me for it. Again, I picked up a book and read about what was happening to my body.
Wow.
And I learned I wasn't the only one. A lot of people didn't talk about these things because their parents didn't talk about these things. And it made me realize how much we have to share with our kids. Like we were talking earlier about, if you do not tell your child about the mistake,
And
they're destined to repeat it. So it's like, how do you prevent the teen pregnancy if you don't tell them what happened and what you deal with and what you went through when you got pregnant, So it's like, we have to communicate and talk to our children. Do I regret any of it? No. It made me who I am. Those struggles, those trials, those tribulations, whether it was my decision or whether it was a decision of people around me, it got me where I am now. So I had no idea what, I thought I was one of the boys. I was a tomboy. I didn't think about me being a female and having different body parts so I can't hang out with this dude or hang out with that dude. Never even crossed my mind. And then with the rumors, the gospel in Black communities, whatever they say. I remember I was 10 years old. My mom and her two aunts came and sat me down. Well, my two aunts, rather. They sat me down. I was 10 years old. It's like, are you pregnant? And I'm looking like, what? I had never even seen a phallus. Like, what are you talking about? But instead of them coming to me and telling me about sex or even asking me was I even
They just
active,
accused.
they just assumed because that was the word in the street, I never had a relationship with my mom until I had my son.
Really?
Yeah, we grew up in the same house.
So how was that like?
Oh, that was horrible. I think that my sisters, and this is the weird part, I grew up in a 2-parent household. My mom and dad were married when they had us. My dad was the provider. My mom, her money was our leisure money,
So your parents were visually in the home, but mentally they were gone.
Yes, absolutely. And I was so naive. I didn't even know that. Like I didn't know about divorce and that how certain kids didn't have their dad in the home. I thought everybody's dad was at home. Of
course you did. You were so young to know.
I grew up on a farm. So like everything was just what I read in a book or what somebody told me. And they didn't tell you much. So it was like, wow.
So what did your parents leave you? What exactly did they leave you?
As far as...
Teach something that taught you something.
My dad...
Or did they teach you things through pain that you had to go through?
I wouldn't say they taught me pain. I would say they taught me how to be an adult before my time.
And that caused you to...
act as an adult before my time.
Right.
My dad was older. So we had to chop the wood, we had to cut the grass, things of that nature. So I learned responsibility. We played sports, so I learned discipline and things of that nature. But when it came down to a little bit more personal things, it was just kind of like, whatever. You just do what I say, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
My dad drank and smoked 45 years. I watched what it did to his body. I watched how it tore our family apart, his first marriage.
And you
and things.
still drunk?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like you had the child that refrained and the child that follows.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say, do as I say and not as I do when I'm literally looking at you do this every single day.
Yeah.
So that was, it
was tough. That was tough.
It was tough.
So what was the lowest part of your life? Tell me.
Oh, I think the lowest part of my life would have been just being passed out drunk and someone having it on their flip phone at the time, you know? And that little video running around like, oh, she's drunk, ooh, look at this. And then I would sit there and I was like, I don't want to be this person anymore, even though I didn't even know who this person was. Like, I didn't have the time to truly have the guidance, or I didn't get the guidance. Our school counselor was a joke, like I remember an experience. I won't go into details because that's a whole nother story. But I remember when that happened, she told me it was my fault. It's like there was never a sense of actual guidance anywhere from any direction half the time.
She told you that it was your fault.
Yeah, it was my fault.
You don't have to say nothing. I already know.
I believed that for a long time. I believed that.
And that caused relationship with man to go.
Oh, horrible. Like that alone, like all my experience from the drinking, from the sex at an early age, all that put a stifle on my relationships as an adult because of what I experienced so early on. I could not attach the emotional and physical aspect of a sexual intercourse at all. It was always just physical for me. It was always just sex and don't mean nothing.
So you had no idea?
No idea.
Well, how could you? How could you?
Look, I was like,
So when she told you it was your fault, it just went downhill from there. And this is what grade and what age?
When that time I was 14.
14.
The first time I was 11.
The first time?
Yeah, the first time I was 11.
So it happened 2 times?
3.
3 times?
Yes.
Molestation?
Yes. No, it wasn't anyone I knew. It was just, I can't say being in the wrong place at the wrong time because that wasn't necessarily the case.
Okay.
But it was just, I remember the first time, it was just, I was in such disbelief that this happened to me. And before I could even get home and tell my mom that I was hurt, something happened to me, the street committee, she had all these men,
So your mom already had assumed that it was...
It was me. I remember...
Wow, wait a minute. Let's just stay right there for a minute. So you experienced, it was molestation.
I was raped. It was
rape.
Yeah, it wasn't an ongoing thing.
But because of your actions due to the things that you experienced already, people didn't even believe you.
No.
Wow.
Nobody believed me.
I have to breathe that in because that's tough.
When I was talking earlier and I said just breathe.
Yeah. That's tough for me to hear you say it, and it's tough for me to digest it because I know some young women like that.
I was just about to say, the scary thing is that I'm not alone.
I wonder how many young women, are in that mindset and are suffering in silence. That's what I wonder. And it almost makes me a little emotional if I talk about it.
That's why I started a support group, because I realized that everything I went through was for a reason.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I'm probably one of the few people who was able to recognize the cause and effect, the trauma, all that stuff, and get help. To go to therapy, to realize, hey,
so what age did
wrong.
What age did you get it all? Did you get it? Like, did you get that this was everything that happening to you is happening for you? At what age did you get that?
I'm still getting that.
Okay.
I don't think it ever stops because I think the moment you stop and you feel like you got it figured out is the moment you miss something.
That's
There is no
good.
manual.
Yeah.
There is no manual. Every day, every moment, you have to live in that moment. I had no way of knowing that the experience that I went through early on would have prepared me and made me this person today.
Yeah.
So I can talk about it because I am that girl. I was that girl. Like, it doesn't change anything. I'm not telling you something that I'm reading in the book or making up. I experienced it.
Do you think a lot of young women and women today, they try to forget?
Absolutely.
And so the reason they try to forget is to get rid of it, but you really can't? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So how do you cope with that?
Psychologists will tell you either repress it or you suppress it, things of that nature to try to, especially if it's severe trauma, the brain creates a version of the story
Was
that's
yours
more
severe
soothing.
rape? Was it severe?
No, I can't say
Well,
that.
I think all rape is severe.
All of it's. But I get what you're saying.
Right.
It wasn't like bruised face or anything like that, but it was definitely a trauma.
Yeah.
And so multiple things happen when the body experiences trauma. You have to go into fight or flight.
Yeah, and I'm so in T.D. Jakes' book Crushing, he did some study to write the book. I'll send it to you tonight, the interview and all that, so you can get some kind of feel of it. He said the same brain that studies physical pain is the same part of your brain that processes emotional pain. So not only did you experience emotional pain with your family and some of the people, the relationships you had, I'm pretty sure some of the relationships scarred you too, but you experienced physical pain as well. So how did you get to a place, you say you're still learning, but how did you get to a place that you were able to sit here and speak about it now?
I cried it out,
Has that helped you?
Yeah, it does. I think crying washes the soul. Laughter heals it.
Say that again.
Crying washes the soul, but laughter heals it.
I'm gonna steal that.
I stole
good.
it.
You did? Oh, that was good. That's good. Wow.
But as I mentioned before, women, we're emotional. We have to talk about it. We have to talk about it over and over and over.
But they don't teach them that. That's what I'm saying. They don't teach them.
I read that in the book. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Yeah, that's by John Gray or something like that, right?
He talks about how women are emotional.
I got the book. I never read it.
And because we're emotional, we have to talk. That's why we want to talk and talk and talk. And a man, they even prove it on Battle of the Sexes with brain games, how a man can say something in way less words than a woman. Because we're more detailed, we're more passionate. We need all the words to explain to you that the sky is blue. When you just say, "Hey, sky blue." We need that because that's who we are.
So women need
to talk.
Let's make this clear so there's women who are watching this, they need to know.
They need to talk.
They need to talk.
They need to talk.
You know what? I'm going to tell you, the most powerful thing you can do is let a woman, or any person, but a woman especially, to talk. You give them the opportunity. I got this from this monk. I don't know his name, but I know he's a monk. You give them the opportunity to empty their heart when you let them just talk. And don't give advice.
That's not what it looks like.
Because we good at that.
And that's what I was talking about earlier.
Good at
Men are fixers. So when a woman is crying about her job, or she's not even crying, he's quit your job.
She's venting, right?
Yeah, she's venting, and that's your homegirls, and they'll say, et cetera, et cetera. But see, it's not always about wanting to talk to my homegirls all the time, because I can do that all the time.
Okay,
but I want to be able to talk to my man sometimes.
So tell me what I need to do as a man.
Just listen.
What do men need to do?
Just listen.
That's it.
Listen, you got to listen, but then act. I ain't gonna say act, but you have to be enthused with your listening. So you gotta go, and then what happened?
Got it. You gotta lean in. Got it. Got it. Okay.
You don't even have to listen. For real. It's just giving her the moment
and psychologically,
to express herself.
That's telling her,
I
got you. Yeah. So you got through your pain, and you're still getting through it through listening.
Absolutely.
And speaking and crying. And And it's okay to cry.
Absolutely.
It's okay to cry. That's how you're getting through it. Go ahead.
That's the biggest thing I talk about in my support group.
Talk about it.
Is that detrimental effects of that strong Black woman ideology that is killing our psyche. We have to be vulnerable. We have to have room to be emotional.
Dr. Maya Angelou once said, when you get, you give. When you learn, you teach. So I hope and pray that you've learned something from this show. If you have learned something, share it with somebody. Thank you.